Hey guys, welcome back to r/legal advice. What would you do if one of your parents died and they left your brothers $3.9 million and you got nothing? That is exactly what happened to OP. Let's dive right into the story. And the title story starts like this. My dad passed away a few months ago and I learned yesterday that he left the whole roughly 3 million British pounds, which is around 3.9 million US, estate to my two younger brothers. I got nothing. The reason? I'm a woman and my future husband will provide for me, according to them. I'm 27, female, single, and nowhere near getting married. I worked hard to be independent and still got treated like I don't need support because someday a man might do it. My brothers are not struggling, but they took it without a word. I honestly feel gutted and angry that even in 2025 my worth to my own family was tied to some sexist idea that my imaginary future husband will care for me. And now some of the comments. One person said, under UK law, you might actually have a case here. The Inheritance Provision for Family and Dependents Act 1975 lets disinherited children challenge wills that don't make reasonable provision. If your dad really said that your future husband will provide, that could help your claim. Seriously though, cross-post this to Legal Advice UK and they will point you in the right direction, hopefully. I'm sorry for your loss, OP, and I really hope you get your fair share of the inheritance here. OP then said, that's amazing, I had no idea the law might prevent something like this. I'm gonna research about this and get some legal advice. Thank you so much. Another person said, I'm in the same situation with you. The thing that triggers me the most though was those person takes it without a second thought. Play as a nice person but only when their benefits is not interfered. In my country you are eligible to file a case on this. OP answered, still early days, so I hope my brothers stand up for me. However, the comments above have offered me some hope that I have a path forward even if they don't. Another person said, contact a lawyer and enforce your part. Your dad was an a-hole. He has 3 kids, not 2. We are not in the Middle Ages where he marries you off to the neighboring landlord's son and you're gonna be okay. OP then responded, it's crazy to me how someone can still have the idea that women are somehow less than men in 2025. And yeah guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this and especially what do you think about this family. Honestly, I feel so bad for OP. That's such a horrible situation. I mean, you're dealing with your parents' death, but then you also gotta deal with this crap. Let me know what you would have done if you were in OP's shoes. And by the way, don't forget to like the video if you want to support me. Update to the story, I just wanted to share some good news after my last post. After many difficult discussions and advice from numerous kind people here, my brothers and I came to an agreement. We are splitting our dad's estate 3 ways equally. Once I calmed down and showed them how unfair it felt, they listened to me. We got some legal advice and found out there was actually a simple way to adjust things properly so everyone was treated equally. They both apologized and said they had not realized how hurtful it was at the time. Now everything's being sorted and I will get my fair share too. I honestly cannot thank everyone here enough. If I had not written that post and read all your advice and support, I think I would have just accepted it and walked away with nothing. You gave me the push to speak up for myself and it's made all the difference. Now we got some more comments. One of them said, please have everything documented here and in front of your legal representatives. Verbal promises and agreements are good to have, but not bulletproof. OP said, thanks for the advice, but my lawyer has taken care of all of this. Paperwork has been signed and funds are expected to be distributed in the next couple months. Another person said, I remember your story. It was unfair of your father to treat you differently just because you're a woman. I'm glad your brothers were understanding and even apologized for something that was not their fault. They seem like good people. Some parents will do anything to ruin sibling relationships. Makes me happy though to read that it didn't work in your case. Having brothers on your side is priceless. OP then answered, I thought this situation was actually gonna break my family, but it showed me how strong it actually was. Another person commented, it was disgusting that your father excluded you from his estate because you're a woman. I'm glad your brothers realize how unfair that is and decided to split the estate with you. That's the only fair thing to do. And OP responded, the sexism in this family ends with him and I'm thrilled about it. And the next story is another one from r/best of Redditor updates, and this one is absolutely insane. It is titled, I-35 male was caught using AI to write wedding vows, and my partner, 34 female, walked out. What to do? So I-35 male recently had a wedding with my partner, 34 female. We've had a stable and happy relationship so far, and I love her more than anything in the world. The problem arose when it came to writing vows. Don't get me wrong, I love many things about my partner, but I couldn't figure out how to put them into tangible vows. I decided to use ChatGPT so I can have something well written and expressive to share at the ceremony. The thing about my partner is that she is very confrontational and no nonsense. If something annoys her, she immediately addresses it with no room for backing out, and I also know that she has expressed disdain for AI in the past, but I didn't realize how far the hatred could go. I don't know how, but she immediately recognized that the vows were AI. After I had finished, she had this angry look and whispered to me, "Did you use ducking AI to write that?" I was quiet because I couldn't believe she had noticed that, and she was choosing to address it while we were on full display for everyone. She then said that I either speak from the heart or she walks out. I literally couldn't get any words out, and she kept her promise and walked back down the aisle, much to all our friends and family's confusion. She's been ghosting me these past few days, which is atypical for her and honestly giving me panic attacks. Most people agree that calling off a marriage because of AI vows was an overreaction and that maybe it was a sign that our relationship would have issues, but a few female friends have said that they would have done the same. I'm hurt and honestly, I just needed to help make the day more special. Is it worth fixing? Edit, same post 10 hours later. Okay, I screwed up. And by the way, guys, before we continue here, what do you think about this situation? Is it really such a big problem? Would you have walked out as well if you were in OP's, or rather the wife's, shoes? Let me know what you think in the comments. And now let's read the update to the story. So I didn't check this post for a while because I wanted more points of view instead of just getting torn to shreds, but I understand why the situation is worse than I thought it was. I've been trying to contact my partner's family to see if I can talk to her again, but apparently she's been staying out of state with her sister. I'm gonna tell her when she gets back what I heard here and that I understand. I'm also gonna write new vows now without AI and bring her favorite flowers and snacks, and I still want her to know that I love her and know her. I will post an update when I can. Thank you all, even if some feedback could have been a tad more nicely put. And someone in the comments said, "Did you write this with AI too, buddy? Come on, man, you should have been talking from the heart." OP responded, downvoted, "No, I could write this just fine." For the vows, it was different because I wanted them to be perfect, and there was just a lot I wanted to say that I ended up not being able to say anything. I don't know why so many men, sometimes women too, but it's usually men, have this belief in the back of their heads that they have this overruling right with their female partner where they can just ignore or dismiss whatever she wants or prefers as long as he thinks he's got a better idea. Like she's a child and he's the parent who knows better. Another commenter said, "And now we have you. She told me explicitly multiple times that she hates AI, but I felt like it wasn't a big deal and that I needed it, so I used it anyway for my wedding vows. How can I show her she's overreacting?" Well, you don't, because she's not overreacting. You disrespected her majorly. You are not the victim here. You knew damn well what her reaction to you using AI would be and did it anyway because, again, you thought you knew better and that she wouldn't find out anyway. Again, like she's a stupid child or something and you're her parent replacing her dead goldfish before she gets home from school. She deserves better than to marry a man who thinks of her that way. OP then responded, "I didn't realize she would be able to tell right away." When I spoke of her disdain for AI, people are making it seem like it was a deal breaker that I simply ignored, which is actually not the case. I didn't understand that it meant that much to her, and I definitely won't be making the same careless mistake again. Another person commented, "The thing is, this is a slippery slope actually. Once you get AI to do something as important as writing your wedding vows, you will even more easily be getting AI to reply to your text messages and creating apology messages when you get into arguments which you didn't even write. At which point she might as well be in a relationship with ChatGPT instead of you." OP responded, "This is my first time using it to write text and this whole situation scared me off it for good." And by the way, guys, this is such a 2025 or I guess 2024, 2023 story as well. Imagine something like this happening before all this ChatGPT crap existed. Damn, we are really in interesting times. Anyway, if I can fix things, hopefully I won't fall into a slippery slope. Update to the story. I honestly wasn't planning to do an update after all because of how humiliating this entire situation has been. I didn't want to give more of a reason for people to rip me apart, but now that my story is posted on a popular YouTube channel, there probably won't be much of an escape route for me. There's no doubt people we know will find it now, so I want to give the short update everyone has been itching to get. So I did what I said previously and told her about the Reddit post and how the replies gave me her perspective and that I was sorry. She ended up getting even more angry with me about posting our business, even though our names were not mentioned, and that she couldn't believe I needed online strangers to tell me why I was wrong. Also, apparently my mom was texting her about paying back all the wasted wedding money, and she used that against me too, which I don't think is fair. I have no control over what my family does. Snacks and flowers didn't do much. She refuses to give me another chance even after offering going to couples counseling, so yeah, the wedding is never happening again. It's over. This has been the most horrendous time in my life. I've thought about giving up altogether. Meanwhile, she's posting about brunch with friends on her social media. Makes me wonder how she could move on that fast while I'm still a wreck. People have accused me of not caring about her enough to write my own vows, and yet the difference in our reactions to splitting up says the reverse. I hope you're all happy. Feel free to rub salt in the wound. I'm not coming back to this account. Some people commented, the difference in your reactions just says that this was the final straw for her, while you were and still are ducking clueless. Another person said he really doesn't get it. He decided that it wasn't worth his time or effort to write his own vows on his wedding day, so offloaded the subpar task to an AI assistant and is now mad that his fiancée thinks that he's a moron. He can say that he wanted them to be perfect all he wants, but the reality is that he couldn't be bothered to make them perfect on his own, and yet he wrote both the post and the update just fine. I mean guys, after all, if you write an engaging Reddit post, you can get imaginary internet upvote points, which you don't get for perfect wedding vows. Just kidding, of course, but maybe OP values these imaginary internet points more. Anyway, the next one is titled, My brother kept leaving pee all over the toilet seat, so I gave him a taste of his own medicine, from r/pettyrevenge. Hey, so I'm a girl and I have a twin brother. I live with my dad, brother and mom, so total of 4 of us. I kid you not, every single morning there's pee on the toilet seat. I told my father how disgusting it is, plus it cannot be that damn hard to aim in the toilet and not outside of it. And by the way, Ripe Stars, as a man, it's really not that hard. Some people are just lazy or really suck at aiming. Maybe they need to play some Call of Duty or something. At that point, telling him to pee on the floor and he'd somehow miss it. And he scolded my brother, but the next day, the same crap. At this point, I grew tired of it, so anytime I saw pee in the toilet or on the toilet seat, I'd quite literally call for him to get his ass over there and clean after himself. He would go on a rant about how, "It's not me," BS, and would refuse to clean after himself, and then I would threaten to call our dad and he would clean up. I have to say this seems like nothing, but once I had friends over and my very close friends said there was pee all over the seat, which is what tipped me off the edge. I felt embarrassed and I knew I would somehow make him pay back for that. Not only is it disgusting and unhygienic, it's the constant denial and lack of accountability that really pisses me off. See what I did there? Ha! So I decided to take things into my own hands. Every time I cleaned after him and used the bathroom, I would sprinkle water all over the seat and leave. Sometimes I will add a yellow watercolor for the fun, and soon enough I noticed results. I made sure he doesn't notice I was last to go to the bathroom, and whenever he would say or ask anything about it, I would just say, "It's not me." Then my dad would walk in on the pee and would yell at my brother, to which his "it's not me" card was in fact true this time, and so I thought it was solved, but 3 days ago I still found pee again, and I knew because I walked in after him, so I took it up a notch. So once his friends arrived, I knew it was time. I placed the pee evidence and went out to the living room where I asked him, "Bro, why didn't you wipe the seat after you peed all over it? It even got on the floor. Aim better." He then proceeded to pull the "it's not me, seriously, what the F, it has to be dad" card on me, and I said, "Bro, I literally saw you leave the bathroom. It's okay, we all have weird habits, but you have to stop for real." To say he looked embarrassed is an understatement. He later confronted me and genuinely told me it had to have been dad because it really isn't me. It's funny to think this whole time he just assumed it was dad, so he didn't say anything because of it. I still didn't tell and don't plan to do so. So far, besides my pee stains, he has been cleaning up his own mess. Mission hopefully accomplished. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. So here's the deal. My grandparents owned about 25 acres of land in the outskirts of a small town in Iowa. They built their house there in the early 90s, and that is where I've lived my entire life. After they passed, I inherited the whole shebang. Back in 2008, this developer swooped in and bought up a bunch of neighboring land. He approached me about selling some of mine, and I said, sure, I'll part with 8 acres farthest from the house. He countered, asking for 15. I told him the extra 7 would cost him triple. He agreed, we signed the papers, and that was that. Or so I thought. Well, the land sat empty for ages. It took forever for him to sell the plots and build houses. From 2008 to 2015, it was just vacant space. I did not mind, kept it mowed and tidy, but never tried to claim it as my own or anything. By last summer, he had finally finished the whole area, and now there's about 150 homes in that neighborhood. Because of all this development, my remaining 10 acres are now worth about 15 times what they originally were. And you bet the HOA knows it. So since October 2018, I've been bombarded with angry letters and citations left on my property. Some highlights include having a shed larger than 8 by 8 feet, minus 25 by 35, having an eyesore vehicle on my property, it's a project truck I'm restoring, and the body's outside while I work on the frame in the shed. Having also a non-confirming mailbox, still clueless about this one, having the wrong type of roof shingles, again no idea. I ignored them and told the HOA busybodies that I'm not part of their little club, so their rules don't apply to me. They claim that since my property value has gone up, I owe back dues from when I sold my land, before a single house was even built, and I have to fix everything on their list of complaints. The back dues are supposedly $8,500, but they say if I don't pay by January 1st, 2019, I'll be charged interest on them. No clue where they are pulling this interest from, but I think their HOA fees are around $600 a year. It'll cost me about $12,000 to $15,000 to fix my house, and I think it's complete nonsense that they can even try to make me do this. Number one, I've gone through every document I signed, not a single one mentions an HOA or my involvement with it. Number two, I'm baffled why the HOA is even coming after me. I live almost 3/4 of a mile from the nearest house in their neighborhood. The whole development has its own fancy street signs and lamps. I don't have any of that, so how can they even claim that I'm part of the HOA? They are threatening to either make me pay up or put a lien on my property and take it over. From what I understand, if I pay the $8,500, doesn't that mean I'm admitting guilt and can be forced into the HOA? And here, ripe stars, this is another one of those stories in the long line of HOA scams. I really hope that OP does not bend over and instead fights this ridiculous HOA. If you were in this situation, what would you do? Let me know in the comments. Update to the story, I just had a long chat with a lawyer. He went through all my documents and asked if I was sure that was everything. I told him it was. When I sold the land, I put all the paperwork in one folder along with my taxes. He says there's no way I am in the HOA since I did not sign anything agreeing to it. He offered to send them a cease and desist letter, and I brought up adverse possession, but he advised against it. He said it's better to get them to leave me alone rather than start a big fight. For now, he said not to pay anyone or sign anything. He will send out the C&D letter today, and he told me that if the HOA tries to contact me, I should just direct them to him. So I think I'm in the clear for now. Update number 1. I met with a real estate attorney recommended by a Redditor and did a title search. We are also trying to track down the old developer's master plans. Here is what we've uncovered so far. So basically, I sold my land to developer A, he owned it for about 3 years, then went bankrupt and lost the land to the bank. That is when the maintenance went to heck and I started mowing it myself because the bank did not care. The bank eventually sold it to developer B, who built the current neighborhood. We got in touch with developer B and he said he's no longer involved with the neighborhood and the HOA runs everything now. His company just owned the lots built on them and sold to families. They have zero say anymore. I asked if he thought he owned my remaining 10 acres and he said absolutely not. The entire neighborhood is on the old land plus the 15 acres I sold, so he was helpful and clearly had not done anything wrong. I asked my lawyer about filing for adverse possession now on the land I maintained, but he said it would be a waste of time and money. I was just considering it to annoy the HOA. The title search came up clean, showing my grandparents as previous owners and then me. So there's no way they could have owned my land. The records go way back with a clear chain of ownership that my lawyer says is incontestable. We sent the HOA a cease and desist letter telling them to stop contacting me unless they have signed documents proving I'm part of their HOA. They never responded, I was out of town and came back to find my mailbox missing. Someone had cut it clean off the post with a chainsaw, wooden post with a metal mailbox on top. My lawyer says this is a big deal and that the postal service would throw the book at whoever did it. I bought an identical mailbox and set up cameras all over the property. If they try it again, I'll have their own tape. Here's the kicker though, we found out what they are really planning. So it turns out the HOA wants to build another community playground and a pool/clubhouse, and they need land for it. They cannot expand in any other direction because they are almost at the edge of a highway on one side and the other sides are zoned for agriculture. So basically, they decided to try and take over my land. They have not filed a lien on my property yet, so I'm guessing they were trying to force me into the HOA to make me sell my land below market value. Either way, they've shown their hand and now I am on high alert. We filed a police report about the stolen mailbox, so there's a paper trail. Now it is just a waiting game to see what they would do next. Should I send them a letter saying I know their plan and there's no way they can get my land? They got their monthly meeting every second Wednesday of the month, so it's coming up soon and I'm sure it'll be a hot topic. Should I show up? Update number 2. I was away for the holidays and came back on Monday to find my project truck I talked about before had been towed out of my driveway, my pond was emptied and filled with gravel and sand, and a 2-acre section of my property closest to the HOA, about 300 feet by 660 feet, was fenced off. I immediately called the police and filed a report about the stolen property. The truck was not registered and was just an empty shell, so I have no idea where it is or how to track it down. It's not worth much, maybe $2,000 or something, but it's the principle of the matter. That jerk of an HOA president has gone too far. I had my lawyer send the C&D almost 2 weeks ago and they haven't contacted me directly since then, except for this nonsense. I've hired a local salvage company to come tear down the fence this weekend. They are doing it for free since I'm letting them keep the fence materials to sell as scrap. My lawyer suggested I send a letter demanding payment to fix my pond. A local landscaping company quoted me almost $7,000 to restore the pond to its original state, so that is what he suggested I ask for, plus another $1,500 for loss of use of the pond. The HOA meanwhile has lawyered up, so I think it's best if I don't post anything else here until it is all settled. I didn't want to leave you all hanging though, since you've been such huge help. I've included a rough sketch of the property layout since a few people asked. And by the way, Ripe Star, since this is an older post, unfortunately, the sketch was not available on the image upload site anymore. Nothing on the internet is permanent, I guess. Anyway, it's not great, but it should give you an idea of the land. Update number 3. After 6 long months, everything's finally been resolved. This is my last post about this whole mess. I checked with my lawyer and he said it's okay to share. The HOA board got a lawyer to respond to my C&D and they requested a meeting ASAP with my lawyer present. I didn't want to go, but my lawyer said it might be worth hearing them out. At the meeting, I noticed the president and some of the higher-ups were not there. The board members who were present seemed completely clueless about what was going on, and their lawyer looked just as confused. After I laid out my timeline of events, they thanked me for my time and agreed to cover all the costs for restoring my pond, replacing my missing truck, and repairing the damages. I got checks for everything and had my pond restored back in May. I did not think much more about it until a few weeks ago when the new HOA president filled me in on what really happened. So it turns out the old president, treasurer, and another board member had been embezzling money from the HOA funds. They wanted my land to expand and build a pool, clubhouse, etc., just like I saw on their website. The old board hit everyone with huge fines to raise money to buy my land. Instead, they pocketed the cash. They thought they could just take over the land I was not using when their plan to buy it fell through. Long story short, their whole scheme fell apart after I fought back and brought it to the attention of the other HOA members. From what I've been told, the crooked HOA board members had to sell their houses to pay back the HOA and have since moved away. The new HOA has offered me market value for my land, and I'm considering selling since I don't really use it for anything and the money is pretty good. I didn't end up filing any complaints with the postal inspector since the situation resolved itself. I got a new project vehicle to replace the one that was stolen. For those asking, the old one was a 95 Bronco with a bad transmission. My new project is a 69 Charger that I'm planning to restore to its former glory. I want to give a huge thanks to all the Redditors who chimed in with advice, especially those from Iowa who knew the local laws. You all rock. And the next one is another amazing petty revenge story, and it is titled "Petty Revenge Was Worse Than I Imagined." So I told this story at work today and someone said I should post it here. Anyway, at the end of a relationship about 8 years ago, my then partner and I split and I was moving out of the place that we shared because he owned it. He was a jerk and our relationship ended with physical abuse. I had not long before spent serious time and money putting in garden beds all the way around the house. Many of my flowers were expensive and I told him I planned to take them out and plant them at my new place, and he agreed. While getting large pots at the garden center, I saw that they had catnip seeds. Now, I knew catnip could be hard to grow, but that's pretty much all I knew about it at the time. In a fit of spite, I bought a ton of catnip seeds and seeded the newly empty beds with them. I figured, because I'd been told that they were very difficult to propagate, that maybe a few plants might pop up and attract neighborhood cats, and he would have to weed them out. It would be a minor annoyance for him. That's all I ever intended it to be. In fact, after I didn't think about it again until recently. Well, I happen to have a new client in this neighborhood that I met with for the first time yesterday. I drove by his house and saw that it had a for sale sign in front of it, and there were like 6 cats in the yard. I asked my new client about it and learned that while catnip is actually difficult to propagate once it does, it is basically an invasive species, and apparently I planted it at just the right time of year because it propagated quite well and has been spreading ever since. It took over the yard and he's tried getting rid of it multiple ways. Every time it just comes back worse. I was informed that if you drive by in the summer with the windows down, that whole end of the street smells like a litter box. I genuinely feel bad because it really was only supposed to be a minor inconvenience. And yeah guys, thank you for watching. I will see you again tomorrow.